Good afternoon, everyone. Washington Post with a new article. Greenland witnessed its highest June temperature ever recorded. Yeah, we jump over to Summit Station, 10 below zero. Also witnessed the highest June temperature ever recorded. Across the entire coastal area, it never reached above 3°C. Looking into Nuuk, forecast to be around 2°C with rain. That means snow. Manitsok, following the same, not as warm as they say it is. We're heading into the negative NAO phase, which means a bit wet, a bit cooler along the Greenland coast. Same article saying that the ice melt began prematurely. Okay, it might have begun prematurely, but it sure slowed since that time. This is on the 18th of June. Also from the Denmark Meteorological Institute, showing the melt. NASA, their melt for the same day, but when you compare the data sets of information, look how different it is. 2012, by far the largest melt year. And looking at the ebbs and flows of temperature across Greenland over 150 years, you can see that it really is dropping off. With the article out on June 10th talking about Greenland witnessing its highest June temperature ever, I had to dig into the temperature records up on Summit Station. Comes out that it's never been above freezing yet this year, actually 20 below zero. Week forecast out here for you. It's still not even above freezing into July yet. And also claimed that Greenland witnessing the highest temperature ever recorded on Thursday. Nothing even expected to be above 3°C. Manitsok, 2 degrees and rain. That turns into snow. Nuuk, temperature 4 degrees Celsius. Manitsok 6. Yet they're talking about infinite melting. In the undulations of our Earth's climate system, we're heading into the negative NAO. And you'll see the changes on the map right here. Greenland's going to be a little bit wetter, a little bit cooler, as well as the Atlantic multidecadal oscillation is trending cooler on its 60-year cycle as well. Overlap all of these, we can take a look how the Northwest Atlantic is going to behave. We can start to see the cold blob here. We'll start to see how the cold temperatures in the Atlantic Ocean far down south near North Carolina, South Carolina are still continuing. Taking a look at St. John's, a little bit south of Greenland, 7 degrees and 3 degrees for their temperature. Recorded temperatures from these 5 different port areas around Greenland. Now this is from 1901 to the year 2000. I'll let you draw your own conclusion on that with the fishing port data. Going back to 1880, looking at Nuuk. This does include the Dust Bowl era in the 1930s. Look how much warmer it was above that. Let's go back into Tasiilaq. 1895, we'll see the same warming spike in the 30s. And you'll start to see cyclical patterns in warming and cooling when we come back here to the Donar Lake. A little closer view for you here. 1,240 years of records. Clearly warmer in the 1200s than it is now. A 2,000-year span across the actual temperature of Greenland shows you medieval warming period about 1,000 years ago was far warmer than today. And if we go back to 485, still warmer by almost 2 degrees C. Full look of Greenland temperatures back to 1870 from DMI. Look at that drop-off happening right now. Ice melt season beginning prematurely. 6th earliest onset of ice in 27-year record. You mean we've only been studying this for 27 years and we're making all these claims off of 27 years of data? Really, it was 2012 that had the largest melt season. 2013, well within the 2% standard deviation. 2012 overlaid on 2015, cooling. 2015, DMI stays right within the 2% variation. But with NASA data, it's outside the box. So let's take a look. 17th of June, DMI melt compared to NASA on the 19th. 2 days later, we can compare the data side by side and see. Again, I'm going to let you draw your own conclusion on this. If we look at the overall melt rate of the Gigatons, 2015-16 is actually melting less than the 1990 to 2013 mean average. Close in look here. Blue, dark blue, and white are no melt or gain, and where it's red, it's melting. Do the math yourself. This is exactly where it's melting on June 16th. The non-melt compared to the melt. Cumulative melt days from the beginning of year January 1st. Sea ice data from the Norwegian Meteorological Institute. Around Greenland, all that red is sea ice still packed in there. Baffin Island, right next to Greenland to the west. The purple, that's the glacial advance and retreat. So around 950, the glaciers melted. And then they gained again. And now they're melting. That looks like a cycle to me. So the data stops around 1600. Let's bring you forward with that. Again, glacial gains, glacial declines. That is a cycle. It is not CO2. Disco Island in the red box off the west coast of Greenland. Article from 2012 showing that the glaciers were far more northerly than they are now. Little ice age, they retreated and pulled further south. And here's a nice IPCC model of the sea ice outlook predictions. 2016 compared to 2012, that's a great difference. And I love at the very bottom it says, the distribution of melt ponds doesn't necessarily reflect reality. Now, how are we using IPCC data to forecast if they're saying that it doesn't even reflect reality? What bizarre Alice in Wonderland kind of science is that? And conveniently, they forget to tell you exactly where ice is growing on Greenland. They always focus on the melt-off, but here's a whole area where it's growing. And when we roll back to 1939, they're saying the exact same things we're saying today. Catastrophic glacial loss. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of the video. Please remember to double check your data whenever they say it's the most of this or the most of that, especially on the warming end of things. There's no longer any science involved in it. It's to get you to pay global taxes and redistribute the world's wealth base.